Yeah. So for me, it really starts from listening to my own voice. So my voice is a way to connect to myself. Like for example, if you look at this object, I happen to have this object with me, and you don't know what it's made of. It can be made of glass or of plastic, and you don't know, and then you tap it, and then oh, it's plastic, right? So making sound is revealing what the thing is made of, right? If we tap a glass, it could be plastic, could be glass, but if we tap a cup, we can understand what material, what is it actually made of. And so voice work, when we really allow our voice to flow, when we run our voice, we actually run Eros. So we actually already invite life force into the body and allow, for the voice to be moving in the body, not in like a patterned way through language, but kind of like so we allow more and more of us. And through, different practices that I will be sharing, you will have a chance to really connect to the source where this voice is arriving. Like, where is this voice actually coming from? And the voice is then a way, a bridge to tap into nothing, like where is the voice arriving from, and to the way it feels in the body. So you have the range of like nothingness, source, and experience in the moment, the touch experience in the moment. And so for me, that range is the range of self. So we have a model to work with embodied voice as a range of self. And then we can, when we have the space for that and the culture that can allow that, we can allow ourselves to see how does that manifest in different types of expression. And the sexual or the erotic expression is extremely important, because most of us have experienced some sort of block around our emotions, around expressing our emotions authentically, and also a very painful block around just being our erotic self. How babies and small children, they touch and they taste and they love, and it's very, very, very simple. And then we learn to close it down because of different reasons. But actually this like erotic being that we are is there, and it's really craving to be acknowledged, to be recognized, to have space to play, and to create a culture where sexuality is not some kind of separated practice that the child is like, it's bad, but like that there is a range of intensity, and you can find what is the right intensity of connection. So maybe what you and I, that the deepest expression of our love is what is happening right now. And maybe at another point, the deepest expression of our love would be cooking together. And maybe at some point it would be sexual, So if we really see what is the deepest and the most beautiful, or the highest, right? Doesn't matter the superlative, but what is the most fulfilled expression of love from this range of from nothingness into form. And then when we open this taboo of sex, of power, also of power dynamics, of money, right? And we start to be more playful with these taboos, then we just have more freedom in our artistic expression. And for me, it's a very deep, passionate calling, because I look around me and I see reality, and I see humans, creating cities and creating buildings and creating bureaucracies and creating banks and creating, families in a certain way. And I'm like, wow, humans can actually do a lot, we can do a lot. And the freer we are, the more beautiful, the more special, the more new, the more exciting, the more interesting things we can create. So for me, it's a really strong calling to like, hey, we are waking up to our creator capacity. We are understanding that we are not machines, that we are creators. And how can we start to practice that, to own that, to talk about it, to find words for that, to find thoughts for that, to feel it in the body and to be in that connection. Like, how can I trust that I'm speaking now from my heart and that you're looking at me and that you love me and that you are interested in what I'm saying, and to really feel you're listening as an act of love, right? Where it's not about, oh, do I have the right, or is it important enough? I just feel that it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter the words, but there is an energetical connection in the conversation. And this is for me Eros. Like this feeling that we are one consciousness touching its different parts, loving itself, its different manifestations, the one consciousness loving itself. So for me, this is where Eros comes to the picture.
Well, it's amazing how it really tickled me when you said about the voice and how we can touch our nature with the voice. This is so beautiful, and how it's like reflects back with the sound of our own nature. Yeah, very precious. Thank you for that. Really,
You're
and
very welcome.
I have this like curiosity of like, how do we get to this like more fluidity and like more this softness and like this the ability to use the spectrum of like going from this
Right.
depth and touching the source and the like the
Right.
oneness, and then going into expression and embodiment and the matter, and like having access to that spectrum. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you wanted to talk a little bit about the tools, or just
Yeah.
how in your perspective, what's the magic?
Yeah, well, I have to say there is a key, okay? There is a magic key. It's actually very simple, but it doesn't mean that it's easy to do. And the key is to go in and down. Not up, not above, but in and down. It's the work is in the roots. The work is in venturing into the subconscious. You know, C.G. Jung, who is one of my heroes or like spiritual mentors. Jung, the famous psychologist, but it's way beyond psychology. He says that the revelations of our time are not arriving from above, but they are emerging from the subconscious, from below. And we have a culture, the patriarchal culture, that is very much about organizing top down. So plans, implement, you know, values, oppress life. Like there is a lot of ideas and structures of power, so containers that are actually used to repress what is emergent, to protect consciousness from the emergent power of Eros. So, and what is happening right now, and you can see it all over the world, is that the collective consciousness of humanity is waking up, and that means that more is coming from below. And if your consciousness is based on repression, you will freak out and you will try to push it down in many, many tricky ways. But if you recognize that this is actually me, that the subconscious, that the dark is actually me trying to speak to myself, that it's actually the unconscious that is trying to make a relationship with my conscious part, that is actually my feminine side, loving, craving, devotionally trying to approach my masculine consciousness, right? Then we start to talk about a relationship. And then we start to talk about inner marriage. We have been repressing the feminine for generations out of fear. And the calling now is to allow the feminine, which is body, unconscious, the unknown, uncertainty, chaos, akasha, whatever you want to call it. It's this quality of mystery. And to actually welcome it. and to humbly, drop to our knees and to say, all the plans, great, all the knowledge, great. We have access to all the knowledge. We have AI, we have everything. Consciousness is covered, in terms of colonization of knowing. What we need now is actually to tune into the body, to tune into the subconscious and into the womb, and birth ourselves as a full spectrum being. And that means surrendering to the dark and also making friends with death, right? Because if I know that I can change form and I will die and be reborn, I will die and be reborn, it's a whole different ball game. So for me, that is where flexibility, because you asked about flexibility and softness, I didn't forget, right? So this is where softness and flexibility come to mind, because when my attachment to be in a certain way is loosened, and I allow myself to change and I allow myself to transform, then this dying and being reborn can happen quite fast. Sometimes it can happen within minutes, and it allows me to connect to you much faster. Because I recognize you as a reflection of myself, right? Because if it's just the one consciousness loving itself in different ways, I can ask, okay, Faye is like this, fine. I think I know who Faye is, okay. But what is love right now? How does love manifest? And how can I be both in Faye and in you as a reflection of my consciousness and move between us as one? So it's graduating into what I love to call multi-dimensional consciousness, because it's like there's me, there's you, there's the space between, and there's the nothingness, right? And then it becomes a much more interesting relational field, I think, than just me and what I think I am and what I need and getting and arriving, achieving, conquering. Like for me, it's very boring, actually, by now. So I don't know if I kind of like was just transmitting. I don't know if it made sense to you, or you can
Yes,
ask.
totally. I'm feeling like I'm also like softening as I'm listening to this, and so much agree with this. Like, yeah, most of my work has been around
Right.
creating those spaces where we can be in the body and source like from the wisdom of the body.
Right.
And so, yeah, let ourselves be nourished and guided by Eros. And I know something that we've already talked about is Eros as navigational tool, or
Yeah.
Eros as navigation. And I want to maybe bring that up because it's very powerful for me to allow myself like to feel Eros, so my turn on, actually, like, just to put it in simple words, it's just my turn on, like.
Yeah.
And what is the turn on showing me? This aliveness that is there, and the turn on can come at any random moment.
Right. Right.
And like I'm feeling a certain vibration, seeing something beautiful, whatever, even not beautiful, having a thought that is not so beautiful, and it turns me on, and like, what is that aliveness saying to me? And also that it's bringing up stuff from the subconscious, because Eros is one of those things that we like to push down in a society. So
Right.
I really love this inquiry of like, yeah, seeing Eros as that, like, what is it telling me, instead of putting it out there and needing to do something about it,
Right.
but more like having
Right.
that observation of like, whoa, that's interesting. What is it telling
Right.
me? Oh, there is excitement in life, or there is something that wants to be like touched deeper, or maybe more.
Yeah.
And how does it want to come from me? And yes, I'm really excited about this piece as a person who has worked with Eros, uh,
Right.
who, like, the name comes from the god of love and sex,
Yeah.
and then, like, as a person who worked with it for over 10 years, and changing a little bit the way we look at the subject, and also interact with it. You also mentioned already that word of deconstruction, of like how can we
Yeah.
deconstruct a little bit the usual spaces,
Right. Right.
of how do we host the temple, so-called temple spaces of or sacred sexuality, and
Yeah.
how, yeah, there is like because we tend to do like we tend to find a way, a template, and then do it again and again and again until
Right.
it becomes like
Right.
a church of some sort or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then, yeah, so to like, I'm really really excited about this idea of deconstruction, and yeah, just bringing in the newness and freshness and aliveness. And the turn on the Eros is one of those tools to like really look where that aliveness
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's an amazing question coming from you because you've really, you know, I've been in spaces that you created, and we've been together in spaces where we were moving with Eros. So I already know what you're talking about this feeling where you have permission to be connected to your erotic self, and then you kind of navigate through that, and you feel, where do I feel called to be? Like, where do I feel aliveness? And for me, there are so many ways to approach your question. Like, it's really interesting. Maybe the first thing I can talk about is this issue around Eros and projection, because Eros is, um, we can say it's life force that is flowing through the body. So it has a somatic, tactile, somatic, energetic experience. But in the
Mm.
psyche, we can say that Eros is a sort of psychedelic drug. It's a consciousness expanding. It has a consciousness expanding quality. This is
Mm.
why, for example, when I'm turned on by someone or something, I have a feeling where I want to have it, or I want it to have me. Like, there's a transferring of myself, or feeling that I become an object, or that someone else is becoming an object of desire.
Mm.
And that is actually a mobility issue. Right? Like, if I see someone, I'm like turned on by them, and I'm like, wow, I really want to get to them or have them come to me. There is a mobility question there. And there is actually psychic energy that is supporting that mobility. So I'm saying, wow, this person, they would make an amazing partner, and they would, throw gifts at me and take care of me, blah, 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 whatever fantasy I'm having at the moment. Not actually, not kind of these kind of fantasies, but okay. So there is a fantasy aspect, a fantasizing aspect that is connected to a mobility issue, right? And so if I'm conscious, because this is often happening unconsciously, and then it brings me into a situation where I don't know, maybe I project something on someone that I don't know yet, and they'll be like, I'm not going to buy any gifts for you, blah, 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 whatever. But there is a tricky kind of like fantasy aspect that is not totally in with reality of the moment. And this is
Mm.
also part, like when we are in a deep sexual act, we travel into a space, right? But if we're conscious, we're able to be in both realms. So we're able to be in ourselves, in the moment, in the body, and also
Mm.
travel and expand into higher dimensions or into fantasy, right? So actually, if I notice that, so if I notice that I'm creating a mobility towards an object of desire, I can say, okay, maybe the object is not the end result, because if we are just in the moment, right, coming again into non-duality, the one consciousness, and there is only this moment.
Mm.
If there is only this moment, what sense does it make to move from here to there? Like, why should I move from here to there? So Eros is actually creating the possibility for diversity within the one consciousness. Otherwise, it would be just one.
Mm.
Eros is allowing for mobility and for dreaming that creates form. That's why in the ultimate, like, sacred union act, there is new life that is coming through, because it's a joint channel of erotic mobilization. I'll try to be less abstract, but I hope you follow me. Stop me if you don't. So basically, erotic navigation means that I claim both states, that I claim being the one, because there is only one, and also noticing where is Eros wanting to take me. So including erotic movement within the oneness, the ecstatic oneness. So it's ecstatic oneness and desire that is moving me within the ecstatic field. Ecstatic meaning that alive, oneness and aliveness, right? And I'm moving in this field. And what is blocking that movement? Ideas about identity, who I am, what I'm allowed. I'm a woman, I'm Israeli, I'm this, I'm that. I know, all these ideas of who we are. And so the question is how to give a hand to this identity and to say, okay, you can sit back, relax, and let me see. Where does life, how does life manifest in me, and how does desire move me without it being reaching the object of desire, but using that movement to make the next step. Because I cannot not desire, and that's the point. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stop desiring, and even if my Eros is completely repressed, and even if I'm like very depressed and very shut down, there is always the erotic movement. There is always that desire towards this wanting, and that is always life flowing through me and leading me to the next step. And yes, erotic navigation, if I say, why should I close my erotic navigation next to my family? Why should I close my erotic? I told you that I have now a chance to be more with children, and I feel this is an erotic space. It's not a sexual space at all, but I feel turned on. I feel alive. I feel my womb. I feel my genitals. I'm not, and it's just a different type of erotic field, but it's an erotic field. So I think one of the callings of myself and my work, and I think also for you, is to have that water and nurture all the parts of our life, not just our relationships. I think for me, Eros work is not just about better dating or better sex. It's about better cooking and better having neighbors and community work and writing and painting and whatever we want to do, right? And when I notice, for example, I'm not turned on by this. I'm actually kind of like split between where life wants to take me and where duty wants to keep me. Then I can have the chance to kind of, I'm free, I'm free, and I can change things and I can reorganize. So I think that part is something that we are all called to. I do have a relationship with Aleksandra. Thank you. I love these comments on this video. Yeah, if you have any questions, also feel free to drop your question. We might get to it at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, so much there. Wow. Yeah, reminds me of like now in the last year of my life, which I was sharing with you before as well, that I had to drop so many projects. And I think it's to do with what's happening collectively, that like everything that's not true, it's like wanting to fall off because it's not true and authentic anymore, even if it was very real before. And how I was put really in these situations that there was so much pressure that I just simply had to drop. Like I dropped most of my projects, and then from that space, like this emptiness, I just love that emptiness. For me, it was like peace, but also like this potential that comes that I could not imagine before. I was holding on to those old, I can have projects or ideas or work or relationships, whatever it is that we are, holding on to so much, and then this simple act of dropping it and letting things die, like you talked about death before, and how this is such an important part of life, like death, like constant recomposting of ourselves. And like, okay, letting that die, it's gonna compost into something else, and really seeing how the things that are coming then are have so much more like nourishment. The soil that has that compost, then wow, that's really rich soil then.
Yeah,
And I really allowed myself like to
yeah,
drop so many of this stuff, and then there was
yeah,
just this rich dark soil for things to grow. And I noticed things then at some point, because it's also not a guarantee, you know, like we don't know,
exactly.
started growing. Yeah, so I don't even know what I was on about here, because you mentioned about the like the
No,
like
I think,
letting things go. Yeah.
yeah, I think this is part of the translation of what we're talking about, relationship with void, where
Mm,
where I can reclaim also my identity, where we're so attached to being someone that is productive, or that as a singer, I know that it was for me also a process of like, okay, I did some albums, and now I feel like writing text, or now I feel like doing workshops, and maybe tomorrow I'll feel like opening a restaurant or something.
yeah.
I think
I
it's,
see there is a question that I may
yeah,
be interesting for us to address, because on
yeah,
it was on that subject of this Eros navigation.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Before we like hop on to and other stuff, can you talk more about moving with the desire and take the next step without aiming for my object I
Yeah,
project in this desire?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, this is part of the practices that we're going to learn in the retreat, which is actually feeling desire as an energy and allowing it to flow through me, and letting it do what it wants to do in the world, right? So it's moving from projection consciousness into emanating consciousness.
Mm.
When I have projects, I take my life force and I pour it into something, and then it's there and I am here, right? Hi. We have someone coming through, but I will continue. It's great. It's exactly accurate. So we have um, consciousness that is here and projects that is out there. And when I'm emanating, I am right here. And when I call to move, when I really surrender into listening and into silence, and allow this exhale, and then at some point, if God grants me another breath, the inhale will come again, right? It will be like the inhale will come again, and this inhaling and then exhaling again, like what we're talking about, project consciousness versus emanating consciousness. It's really allowing my creativity to flow through me naturally, moment to moment, discovering what is the next step, rather than having a project that feels like this is it and it has to be implemented. So for example, I see someone and I'm like interested in them, and then I already have an idea of how I would talk to them and how would the conversation go and how we'll be in a relationship. And for me, that is not an erotic thing, right?
Mm.
That is implementing an idea that I have. An erotic thing would be to say, oh, there is something there for me. Let me go and see how it goes. And then let me reveal myself. And then let me see how this comes back. And then this is starting. So this is an erotic relationship with life, where I don't have like my agendas and projects. And then the question is like, when there's more life force that is coming, then I'm matching my container. So for example, I've been in Berlin for some 2 years, and I've been meeting a lot of people, and I've been working with different types of containers, and now there is enough energy to create this container. So we have a retreat and retreat space, and we're planning. Can you hear me well with people around?
Yes, I hear you well.
Yeah. So there is this willingness to allow consciousness to serve life, rather than life serving what I think life should be. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's really trusting that I take step by step by step and listen. So it's a much more conversational dynamic with creativity rather than having, oh, I need to be this and let me just like do that. And it's
Wow,
hard to do. And it's
it's
hard to
hard.
do because
It's really
we're educated as if we are going to do, as if devotion or if commitment is to stay like the same. But commitment is not to stay the same. Commitment is to stay open and listening and centered. Commitment
Mm,
is commitment to self, not commitment to form.
mm,
And how do I translate that to relationships, to creativity? I think that is here comes the devotional aspect.
mm,
And this is why it's a sacred cervix, because it's trusting that even if I don't maintain continuity of identity, that there is a calling that is greater than what I think I am, and this is going to lead me in the right place. So it's also like, embarking on a devotional relationship with life, where I surrender to the fact that life actually loves me,
mm.
and that the moment actually offers me more and more ways to awaken to who I really am. And
Mm,
then, it's the question is, where do you put your money? Do you put your money on having a successful retreat, or do you put your money on awakening?
mm,
Do you put your money on getting the date, or do you put your money on not ever leaving your heart ever again, not ever abandoning yourself ever again? And then from that place of what is important for me and where am I at home? Like for me, I'm at home in the void. I know I came from nothingness. I will go into nothingness. I came from source and I will return to source. And everything that is happening right now is a beautiful dream with, I see like lights and buttons and faces and people coming and going and senses and information. And I'm surfing I'm surfing that experience, but I know where is my home. I know where is my home. And to create from that, then it's just a different ball game. For me, the commitment is not career. The commitment is
mm,
awakening. And
mm.
then how do I still play with reality and with the systems and the way the world is, and respect all of my parts.
Mm. Wow, this is incredible, and it's also very much touching me personally because I identify myself, as a visionary, as someone who has an idea for a project and then makes it happen. But then how do I not become that, like a dictator in the process of my project? Because
Right.
I had this idea and like now it has to be
Right.
this and that. And
Yeah.
what happened for me in the last years, I made this conscious decision to really step out of doing things only on my own, because that was very much of this like me, mine, this
Hmm.
specific way, like a very fixated approach, which I'm sure many people
Yeah.
know, maybe not everybody is like that. And for me, the desire to like open it up and offer it to collaboration, like that was my step of like saying I'm surrendering to this like
Yeah.
creative process instead of the specific outcome. Okay, there is
Right.
like a vague vision, and
Right.
there is like
Right.
a hard desire, and I know there is something beautiful that my heart is dreaming, but it's like I don't
Yeah.
know how it's gonna manifest.
Yeah.
And this collaborating with other people also supports me of like, okay, and now I'm collaborating also with the universe. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's a collaboration, it feels like.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to say two things about that. Like, one thing is it's very important not to shame the planning
Mm,
and not to shame the project-oriented mind, which means also to say not to shame the masculine, right? Like,
mm,
it's not about killing parts of ourselves in like historical revenge or like balancing. It's not about that. It's about finding collaboration between Eros and consciousness, and finding a devotional which is not 50-50, right? It's not equal. The erotic currents, they have their place, and consciousness has its place, and it's been out of balance. And how do I understand? Okay, I developed like, yeah, I'm the same. I grew up with my mom, who was always telling me like, you have a goal, get the goal, reach, do whatever and I really love that. And I think it's powerful. And I think it's important, especially like as women in our culture to like, yeah, I can do it. I can, you know, I have a goal, I can reach it if I want, fine. Okay. But actually for me, I realized that, okay, I have money, fine. Okay, I have this recognition, fine. But what I actually want is love. Okay?
Mm.
It's that simple. I really want love. I really want to be in loving connections with people in different ways. I really want to create beautiful moments with you, with whoever I'm meeting. I really want that. That's what I'm here for. This is what I've discovered, that I am love. And I want to experience and explore and express this love in as many shades and colors and ways as I can. Right? So for me, it's what you're talking about. Collaboration is really, really deep because creativity is easy when you love.
Mm.
Creativity. When I love you, I just look at you, and the next moment comes, the next act comes,
Mm.
the next caress comes, because we are in a devotional. We are like inviting.
Mm.
Like why, for example, when we talk about orgasm, we say, I'm coming.
Mm.
Like, why do we say, I'm coming? Because we are, in the act of love, we are inviting each other to come closer into reality, to arrive in the
Mm.
moment. We are calling each other in the moment to arrive. So
Mm.
actually, we can say humanity is awakening, and this collective awakening is like a giant, massive orgasm, you know?
Mm.
We are actually
So
calling
it's
each
coming.
other, calling we are coming, we are arriving, we are actually landing on reality, on earth, landing in our bodies, landing in this moment. And then for me, the calling is, okay, how do we create culture where we can say, okay, I'm free, you're free, I can share my voice, you can share my voice, you can share your voice. How can this voice interact? And in many ways, not just in sex,
Mm-hmm.
not just in sex, but in many, many ways of expressing love. So for me, really, it's about love. It's about universal love, and then all the shadings of love that it can find place. And how can we reclaim creativity from the capitalist system that is about products and duplicating the same and
Mm.
seeing what works and then doing the same for years and years and years, you know? And how can we heal from that? And I know that there are not a lot of people, but I know that there are people who are really craving that. We're
Mm-hmm.
really inviting, and I feel this retreat is called by some people who are already joining us, but also more people who are saying, I want this space, please,
Mm.
I want to arrive into this space. So for me, this is the calling, like to see who is going to come and how are we going to support each other in arriving and revealing ourselves to ourselves as creative through allowing the dark, right? Through this key of connecting to darkness and discovering our creative light moment to moment. So this is for me, this
Mm.
is the calling of this retreat. Yeah.
Wow, so beautiful. And I'm really like resonating also with this pain point of like doing things the capitalist way, like how my mind has been really like conditioned to do it that way, but it's ultimately like not fulfilling. It reaches boredom, or it
Yeah.
reaches burnout, or it reaches
Yeah.
just simple not satisfaction, because
Exactly.
it's not like alive and pulsating. It's like it's missing
Exactly.
myself. It's like I'm doing something, but it's like this is happening here and I'm here and I'm not meeting
Exactly.
myself, and that's so fucking frustrating. It's like,
Exactly.
because I do want to be from that, like acting from that fountain of life
Yeah.
that is inside of me. And yes,
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for what you're bringing, and yeah, also really grateful that you are inviting me to bring myself there as well. And
Yeah.
also new ways, like I've heard so many times, this invitation from you to like bring myself anew, and what will that look like? And
Right.
I'm so curious. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's what will happen for the to the people who are joining us. Like, to
Yes,
okay, what is the newness that is arriving every moment after, I let myself to the things
yes.
that
I'm
don't
very,
need to
very
be.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this. I'm also very excited you're with us, and I can just share that whenever I'm with you personally, or when we are in, especially when we are in a container with other people, I just feel this very strong quality. I told you many times, I think, but like this rose quartz, like very loving, like, and
Yeah.
this warmth, and also this permission to be who we are and to play, because I think I want to say, like we've said, okay, sexuality is not the only thing that is, but sexuality is a super important, super painful thing that a lot of us are there to heal. And so I
Mm.
feel your kind of calling in creating spaces for love and sex until now, and for radical erotic expression, I think that would be an amazing contribution to the field. And I'm very, very happy you're with us for this
Mm.
retreat. And
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, maybe we can take a moment just to tune in to see if there's something else we still want
Yeah,
to share.
there were a few more questions that people ask. I
Oh,
wanted to go back on them, and also there was a few things I wanted to mention as well. A few
yes,
more things. Like, one was about that, because you mentioned how this is not only expressing in lovemaking. And this is so true. Like, what I notice happening between us, and also in some of my other projects with women especially, it's so much easier for me to notice with women because I'm mostly heterosexual. So
yeah,
then with women I have, like, I don't really go into sexuality. So what do I do? And then there's this burst of creativity that mostly comes for me. Creativity then comes as
yeah,
containers,
yeah,
and this is like a love making and weaving something together,
yeah,
and it's incredible quality.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And I will read the question I saw earlier, but also this, maybe want to give a little attention. I don't know how much longer you're gonna go on. We said 40 minutes and it's already 45, and I want to talk
Yeah, it was
longer.
so much fun.
Yeah. So, like, sacred cervix. And I want to, especially this word cervix, which is written a little differently
Right.
than it
Yeah.
would be written, but like cervix is that place where the things actually, it's like the passage where the baby passes through, right? Like
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
physical way. And it's
Yeah.
like from this universal womb space of possibilities, and like life being like ripening into matter, into life. And even that, like, the fact that in astrology, like, that moment of you coming to earth through the cervix is so important.
Yeah.
Like, that
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
moment that made you the
Right.
design. So there's something so potent in the cervix,
Wow.
and this being a bridge and a passage. And
Mm.
yeah, I'm curious if you wanted to still
Yeah. Thank you.
talk
Wow.
about
Thank
the
you for
title.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this mentioning also of like how important is this moment and how determining it is of your kind of like your signal, your like your individual calling and imprint in life. So, hi, we need to go immediately or 5 minutes? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, still 5 minutes. I'm almost finished. So, this is my brother, and we are needing to go. So I just finished that. So cervix is to the womb what the heart is, what the throat is to the heart. And in Hebrew, the word for cervix is the throat of the womb.
Mm.
It's the throat of the womb, you know.
Mm.
And the throat is one type of birthing canal. It's the manifestation canal, and this is also a manifestation canal. But
Mm.
itself, it's it's basically we are birthing ourselves through our voice. We are
Mm.
manifesting our reality through our voice and birthing reality through the cervix. So the cervix is that narrow. like the throat, like that narrow moment of like being pushed into specificity, where, how you said, like the whole possibilities of the womb, and then this one particular this decisive moment of expression.
Mhm.
And why is it written with an S? Because it's a word played with service. So it's, the idea is that because it's an act of love, because Eros is an act of love, then service, then the act of birthing myself is always relational. I don't just birth myself in the void. I'm in the void, but when I birth myself, when I reveal myself to you, I relate to you. And for me, when I really tune into who I am, when I'm in my frequency, I am called to serve. Like for me, it's how can I serve this reality? How can my activity, how can my touch in a way that is loving, that is healing, that is serving? So a lot of the process of revealing myself to myself comes from this calling to serve,
Mm.
right? This is actually, it's like we are calling each other, this giant orgasm, right? Calling each other to arrive, but then also the possibility to listen from the void and to say, oh, somebody is calling me, let me come to them and see what I can give.
Mm.
And I think this is, we have to close because I have to go.
That's a beautiful closure. Maybe I just gonna remind about this retreat that we're offering is at the end of September. Voice and Eros Sacred Cervix by Berlin in a beautiful space in nature. And we will be meeting soon in like a month from now.
Yes.
There's still spaces to join us.
Yes, we are still having a few spots available, and we will be super happy to hear from you. And yes,